this video, I'm going to walk over 5 different funnels, specific funnels, so that you can see how this looks like in practice for 5 different specific scenarios. Now, keep in mind, these are all flexible if you want them to be, right? So maybe you are using a similar funnel or you have an offer that would go well with one of these funnels and you need to tweak it a little bit. Feel free to do that. Think of this kind of like Lego blocks. You can stack them, you can add more elements or maybe remove an element here and there. With that said, the funnels that you will see, the specific maps, work very well in practice for our agency clients and also for my one-on-one clients. So they work really well. Sometimes maybe you have an offer that doesn't fit exactly into it. That's totally fine. Just adapt, tweak it a little bit if you need it, but you can still get a lot of value out of it and seeing, okay, what else can you add to your existing funnels? How can you improve them? Without further ado, let's just go into the funnels. I'll share my screen. So here you can see the first funnel that we're going to talk about is the one which I was already using throughout the course to illustrate different concepts. And that's the lead magnet funnel. So the lead magnet funnel is where you have a freebie, you lead with a freebie to a cold audience. Once people opt in for that freebie, you take them to a thank you page where you make the offer for what I suggest is a tripwire. That means a low ticket offer. You do not just offer the main thing that you have, but you offer something low ticket, an easy purchase for people to buy. If they purchase that, then you start making the upsells. You offer upsell number 1, upsell number 2. During the process of purchasing, as I've been mentioning throughout the course, you want to have order bumps on your checkout page, on your cart page, so that people can also add more stuff. So basically, while you start offering one tripwire, one low ticket offer, by the end of it, they can add additional 4 items, ideally, 2 order bumps and 2 upsells, right? So they end up spending a decent amount of money with you, which makes it possible for you to make profits, even if you have to pay for ads. So that's how it works. You will get access to all of these maps and you'll be able to zoom in. You can print them out if you want to. And as you can see, each step has a little sticky note attached to it, explaining a little bit more in detail what to do at that step, how to think about it, and so on. But basically, the lead gen funnel, again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I already went through it in the course a few times. This is what you have here. So now let's just move on to the Evergreen webinar funnel. So if you have a course or a coaching program, or maybe you have software, or even if you're selling agency services or whatever you're selling, Evergreen webinar is a good funnel to use regardless of what you're selling. So this is how it looks like. Okay. You start with the traffic, obviously. So all of these funnels are always going to start with traffic, right? You need to fill them up with traffic. So that's why that's going to be the first step. Now in practice, as you're building out the infrastructure, you actually build out the funnel first, and then you start sending the traffic, right? Now the traffic, that's going to be social media ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, and also your email list if you have it, and any other source of traffic. It doesn't matter. It can be free organic traffic. There are many sources of traffic online. So basically, the Evergreen webinar funnel starts with the webinar registration page. So people will land on the webinar registration page. They will give you their email address and their name, and they'll opt in for a webinar. Now, here's what I suggest you do in this funnel, right? It's very popular to use software like Webinar Jam, basically a webinar software which simulates an experience of a live webinar, even though this is an evergreen webinar, right? I don't recommend that you use that. In practice, we've seen with our agency clients and with my one-on-one clients, better results if you just put the webinar recording on the thank you page. And the reason for that is that when you try to simulate the live webinar, quite often people will have to wait, let's say 10 to 15 minutes before they can start watching the webinar. Somebody opts in, they have to pick a time. Usually the closest time is around 10 to 15 minutes away. Then they opt in and then they get the email about it. Or maybe on the thank you page, there's a little timer countdown and they have to wait for 10 to 15 minutes. But guess what 99% of people are going to do? They're not going to sit there and wait for 10 minutes for the webinar to start. So you will just lose them. Maybe they'll still be interested 15 minutes from now, but attention spans are very low these days. You're competing with other advertisers, other free content. This person, if they came from, let's say, Facebook ads, they are browsing on Facebook because they want to be entertained. And it's not very entertaining to have to wait for 10 minutes for the webinar to start. It's hard enough to get them to watch the webinar, but if you make it even harder for them to start, you're just going to lose a lot of people. And actually, that's good news for you because you don't have to use that complicated software, but you'll get way more out of it and a higher performance if you just let them register for the webinar and put the webinar replay, or maybe you call it on-demand class or training or however you call it, put it on that thank you page, let them start watching right away. Now, you'll still send them back to this replay page for the first couple of emails, maybe just in the first email, right? So that in case they don't start watching or they didn't finish it, they have a link in their email, they can go back and they can finish watching it. Now on this thank you page, You also want to put the call to action to the sales page, right? So you might have a little summary of the offer. Obviously, at the end of this webinar, you're going to pitch your main course, right? Or your main offer, whatever it is. Whatever the next step is, that's what you're going to pitch at the end of the webinar. I suggest you put a little bit of a summary for that offer here, maybe with some testimonials, nothing too elaborate, but let's say like a mini version of a sales page. Get them to click to the full sales page. That we found works very well, right? Once they're on the sales page, obviously you make the main offer. Quite often, you want to use a special discount and a deadline so that people have a sense of urgency. Otherwise, most people will procrastinate and they won't buy, right? So this is very effective in a webinar funnel. So I suggest you do that as well. So obviously in the email sequence, when they're sending them back to the sales page, again, repeating that the discount is expiring, they have to act and so on and so forth. Now, at the same time, you would set up retargeting ads going to that sales page, and that's basically the closed loop. As always, if they decide to purchase, the first step for them will be to go to the checkout page, right? To the order form. As always, I suggest you use the two-step checkout form so that you can collect the emails of the people who abandon checkout. Because again, a lot of people will abandon checkout. If you use the two-step checkout form, you're capturing those emails. You can send them an abandoned checkout sequence, sending them back, and you're just getting more juice out of the squeeze that way, basically. So if they purchase the offer that you're pitching on the webinar, I suggest, again, you put upsells, and actually I should have mentioned here on the order form, I would also add order bumps here. So you will see these elements like order bumps and two-step checkouts and upsell number one, upsell number two, and so on. They apply no matter what you're selling. You always want to think back to the concepts that I explained, the customer journey, the average order value, and the lifetime value of the customer, right? So think, what else can you give them if you only have one thing and that's it, you're only selling one thing, you can't think of anything else to sell to your audience to provide value for them, then you just have one thing, right? But ideally, you want to start thinking about, okay, what else can I offer to them that complements the thing that they're buying so that they'll make a higher value purchase, and a significant percentage of them will, and that's how you'll increase your order value. Most people, when they think about a webinar, they just pitch the one thing and that's it. They're not going to have any order bumps. They won't have any upsell number one, any upsell number two, nothing. So you're just selling one thing, which keeps your whole average order value way lower than it could have been if you added all of these additional things. And again, as always, I recommend you send them the abandoned cart emails, sending them back to whichever step they stopped at originally. So that's it. And at the end, obviously, you're going to have a thank you page at the end of the funnel where you just thank them for the purchase. You tell them what to expect next. Maybe you want them to follow you on social media, or maybe share the offers that you have and so on. So basically, use this thank you page, as with any funnel, to further indoctrinate your audience, to build that trust, authority, familiarity. It's a very good spot to deepen that relationship. Again, just think back to customer value journey, right? You always want to continue building the relationship. A thank you page is a very good way to do it. You put a video here, people will watch that video because they've just purchased from you. They're interested in what you have to say. So do not miss this opportunity. Again, what I see with my agency clients, almost nobody does anything with this thank you page. They'll just say something generic, hey, thanks, check your email. And that's it, where it's a huge opportunity to miss. You can add all sorts of value on this page if you're using it properly. So that's the Evergreen webinar funnel. Again, you'll have all of this to download. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going through them quickly. The next step is direct to offer funnel. Now, in this funnel, you're driving people straight to a paid offer, right? So if I compare it to the lead magnet funnel here, where we were driving them to an opt-in page where they downloaded something for free, or they opted in something for free. And when you think about a webinar funnel, they're also opting in for free, right? They don't have to pay. Now, they will pay with their time if they will actually be consuming your webinar, let's say 45 minutes of their time. It's a commitment. It's almost the same commitment as spending a little bit of money, right? Because time is precious and people have a limited amount of time. So, but anyway, in this funnel, you're driving people straight to the sales page for a paid offer. Now, that means you need a low ticket offer. Again, you cannot send them to your main offer, right? If you don't know what to put here, again, this is not a course about offers, but you could splinter out a piece of your main offer. If that's a big offer with a higher price point, maybe you're selling something for $1,000 or more, you cannot send them straight to that sales page. What I found, you can, as a simple rule, again, it's different for every business, depending on the audience and so on, but as a simple rule of thumb, if you have an offer under $100, you can try this funnel, driving them straight to the offer, skipping the lead magnet or even skipping the webinar. You don't need it necessarily. You might need it, but it's worth testing and it can work really well. And again, once you add the order bumps and the upsells, by the time they're finished purchasing, they might spend $500, $600, $700 with you, or even up to $1,500. More than $1,500, it'll be hard without a webinar, but that's a matter for another course. Anyway, so let's just quickly walk through the funnel. It's going to be basically a copy of a lead magnet funnel. The only difference is it starts here. So it just starts one step later, right? So you're driving people straight to the sales page from the initial traffic. If they don't purchase, you retarget them with the ads, driving them straight back to that sales page, right? It's very simple. Now, on this sales page, I would suggest to try some type of a discount and a deadline just to see if that works, if that increases the urgency for people to act. We've noticed that in quite a lot of cases, this can really explode your sales. So I would play around with it. I would test it. You don't necessarily have to have it, but I would definitely try it. Again, checkout form, make sure it's a two-step checkout form. I mentioned it a few times before. If your platform doesn't allow for that, if it doesn't allow for order bumps and one-click upsells and so on, you are going to struggle no matter what you do. And if you are going to make a profit, you are going to be leaving a ton of profit on the table. You're basically just playing the game handicap. So you got to maximize it. You got to use the tools that enable you to do it properly, right? If you're in a race and you don't have good equipment and you have a bad car, it's just going to be that much harder to compete. And yeah, so make sure to have a platform to have all these tools available and then to set them up, and you'll be way ahead of the game. And that's how you can compete with ads. And that's how you can spend a lot of money on advertising. That's how you can scale your offers no matter what you're selling using these funnels and make a lot of money. So anyway, from this point on, I'm not going to explain it. It's the same as all the other funnels. After the sales page, you got a checkout form with the order bumps on the checkout form. You got your upsell number one, upsell number two, and then a thank you page. And then you got your email sequences sending the people back to where they stop purchasing, basically. Again, the only main difference is you're asking for the purchase right away. Keep it on $100 in most cases. You could try more. If you have something for $200, try that. We've also made that work in the past with some more clients. In that case, you most certainly want to use some type of a discount and a deadline. So there's scarcity and urgency and pressure on people to act. Otherwise, they will just procrastinate and you lose them. The next funnel is a sales call funnel. And now this funnel is best used for agency services, SaaS, high ticket offers, programs, masterminds, things like this. Something where you need a personal touch points to sell it because typically the order value will be high, right? So people are not going to be that likely to just buy something for, I don't know, $10,000, $20,000 without speaking to somebody, right? That's when you use a sales call funnel. Now, this funnel on the surface looks simple, but it has many different variations. And this will be the basic variation. And I'm just going to walk you through. So, you can compare to what you have. If this is your model, if you're closing the sale right now on your phone, then, listen to what I have to say, see where you can improve your funnel and maybe tweak it and adapt things, right? But there are many different variations. But basically, as every funnel, it starts with the traffic. You're sending traffic, in this case, to an opt-in page, right? You don't want to send the traffic straight to a page where they can book the call. First, you want to collect their email. Again, think about the customer journey, right? First, you get the email. That will enable you to retarget them via email if in case they don't book the call, which most people won't. So you can capture the email, you can send them emails about it and provide more value and so on, get them back, and hopefully they'll book the call, right? So don't send them straight to a booking page. Send them to an opt-in page where now you have to entice them with something so that they will give you their email. You could have a webinar. Again, like I said, there are many variations of the sales call funnel. To scroll back up. So you could put a webinar, and then on the webinar, instead of trying to sell them a product, maybe you pitch them the sales call, right? Or the initial strategy session or initial free consultation or whatever it is. Or maybe it's a paid consultation, right? That's what I meant when I said these funnels are a little bit like Legos. You can take different parts and stack them together. The more advanced and the more comfortable you get with this, the more creative you can become, and things will still make sense so you don't mess it up. But you can totally just use exactly what we see here on these maps. Again, many clients, both with our agency and the one-on-one coaching clients, they've used these exact funnels to great success. Just have a look at our testimonials. Okay, continuing the sales call funnel. Once they opt in, where I suggest you entice them with a little bribe to opt in. Now, that can be a freebie, maybe an ebook or something that would attract people with whom you want to work, or that could be just actually pitching the call, right? So you could say, you could give them the reasons in the ad or in the emails, in the traffic that you're sending. You pre-frame it so that once they click, they're clicking because they want to work with you. So you could say, hey, do you want result X, Y, Z? We help people achieve that. Here are some testimonials. Here's how we do it. Want to learn more? Click through and get to our page and let's talk. But again, you're still not sending them to the application page or the calendar page or anything like this. But you're telling them, hey, you're going to be booking the call if you click through. But when they click through, you actually send them to an opt-in page, a squeeze page. They opt in because they want to work with you, or maybe because they want to learn how you work, right? So a case study could be a good option to use this as a lead magnet. But there are, again, so many variations. I don't want to spend too much time on this. You entice them with something, they opt in. Now here it says a sales page. It is a sales page, but it's not for a paid product unless your initial consultation is a paid consultation, which can also be a very good funnel. But you're selling them on booking the call, on speaking with somebody, right? On your team, maybe that's you, maybe you have a sales team and they're doing calls. So once they opt in, I suggest you have a little video here explaining a little bit more about what you do. Encourage them to book the call if they want to work with you. Then you take them to the application page. Now, most businesses, when they do this, they will want to filter out the candidates. They'll want to make sure that they're speaking with the right people. So, they're a good fit for their help, and not waste time with people who are not a good fit at all. So that's why you usually want to have an application page where you ask the person a few questions. And then if they're a good fit, they can proceed to the calendar and they can book the call and then you speak with them. If they're not a good fit, thank them for their time. Maybe you send them some free value so that they're happy with the interaction. And basically that's it. So that's the funnel. People opt in. You send them to a sales page where you're not selling a paid product, but you're selling your initial consultation. Then you go to the application form where you qualify people. After that, they book the call on the calendar. I suggest you use a tool which allows them to do this online. There are many tools like Calendly and so on. So after that, again, the thank you page, very important, especially in terms of the sales call, because the actual sale hasn't happened yet. There was the mini sale of convincing them to book the call, but the actual sale is still about to happen on that call, right? So this is already an opportunity for you to pre-frame them, to pre-sell them, provide value. You could have testimonials here. You could have a longer video here explaining what you do and why they will greatly benefit from working with you together and why they should definitely show up on the call and so on. Another thing I see is a lot of people will struggle getting people to show up on the call. Well, this is where you start getting them more and more excited about the call as well. The emails, again, just read the sticky notes. It all explains what the purpose of these emails are. Here, the opt-in page, if people opt in, you're just sending them back to the sales page in case they haven't booked the call yet. Same here. Abandoned application, it's basically the same as abandoned checkout emails. You're just sending them back in case they haven't finished the application yet. Because remember, a lot of people, they're interested. They'll start going through the steps, but they won't necessarily complete it. That's why you want to retarget them and send them back with emails and encourage them to complete it. Now, after they book it, you put them on an email sequence where you're sending them free value. You're sending them case studies, testimonials. You're pre-selling them so that when they show up for the call, they're excited about what you have to offer. They're already informed because you had a lot of time here, maybe a few days before their call, to send them all the information and build that trust and authority and connection and so on. It also makes it way more likely for people to show up. Many people will just send them one email saying, hey, thanks for booking the call. Here's a link and that's it. And then they expect this person to show up 6 days later. And then they wonder why their show up rates are so low and why their conversion rates on the calls is so low. You got to pre-frame people. You got to provide value, indoctrinate them, build that customer relationships all the time. You're always building that customer relationship. But that's the sales call funnel. Again, many different variations, especially if you're selling a sales call, which is paid consultation. But this is the basic structure. Now, the last funnel that I will talk about in this video is a free challenge funnel. Now, this one is a little bit more complicated. As you can see, it's got the same building blocks as all of the other funnels. The only difference is that if you've ever done a free challenge, it's a little bit more complicated because there's the challenge, right? It's a whole live event. It's usually multiple days. People have to show up. There's a lot of moving parts. That's why this looks longer. But if you go step by step through it, you will see it's actually following the same logic. And that's the beauty of these funnels. Once you get the principles, you will be able to construct your funnels on your own, or maybe tweak them and adapt them to your business. So, but the free challenge funnel, it starts with, again, initial traffic where you're sending the people to an opt-in page where they will sign up for the free challenge, right? They'll sign up for the free challenge. Then on the thank you page, you already want to sell them something, which the most typical offer in this case will be a paid version of the challenge, a VIP experience, or maybe they get to keep the recordings or whatever it is, right? But an upgrade on the free challenge is a paid challenge, and it's the next logical step. And a lot of people will take it up, and it'll pay for a lot of the ad spend if you're driving traffic, which you probably should if you have a great offer. Same idea here with the email sequences. You've gotten their email. You want to send them back to the sales page and upgrade them into that VIP version of the challenge so that you already start increasing the average order value and convert people into buyers. Same with the retargeting ads. You're sending them back to the VIP version of the challenge. That's the first thing you're sending even before the challenge starts, right? You want to monetize the leads as soon as you can. And again, once they start buying, same story as always. You want to have your order bumps, you want to have your upsells, right? If they're buying the VIP version of the challenge for, let's say, $97, what else can you provide as order bumps, quick little upsells, quick little add-ons that people will take and go together with the challenge? What can you provide as upsell number one, upsell number two? The only thing you have to keep in mind here is you do not want to cannibalize your main offer, which you're going to offer at the end of the challenge, right? You don't want to sell them here something that's a lower ticket, but it will deter the people from buying your main offer later down the road because they'll feel like that's going to give me enough and all I need. So I don't actually need to buy the main offer. So you want to carefully think through this. What are you going to offer here that's going to increase your order value, but not reduce the amount of people that buy on the challenge. But this is a great opportunity to monetize some of the traffic. The most successful people who run challenges, this is how they do it. Now, at the end of the funnel, you take them to a thank you page, which again, you want to use for indoctrination, building that relationship, and so on. Now, the only difference here between the other funnels is that the funnel doesn't stop here, right? Because now the challenge needs to happen. Let's say it happens a week from now. You're sending them emails in between. Again, free value, indoctrinate, build that relationship. The challenge happens. Now, at the end, you're going to pitch your main offer. You're going to be sending them to the sales page. Same idea as always. Order form. I suggest to have upsells there as well. Just think, what can you offer as an upsell? Even if you have a flagship program, it costs thousands of dollars, maybe you have a VIP experience, which includes some personal help or something like this, right? In 99% of cases, you can add an upsell there. And if you do it, you might dramatically change the profitability of your funnel because you don't need that much extra profit to completely explode your business. And this is how you do it, right? If you're making a profit on your challenge funnel or any of the other funnels, that's great. But when you start scaling with ads, you're going to need to increase that average order value because the ads become more expensive the more you scale them. The more traffic you're trying to get, the more you're competing with other advertisers. You're going to start paying more for the click. You're going to start paying more for conversion. And that's when this becomes important. So that's why you want to start doing it right from the beginning. You want to start practicing all this, even if you're not spending that much on ads yet, so that by the time things start really clicking, you have all of this in place. You can scale up to basically there's no limits. But that's basically it. At the end, obviously, you got a thank you page where, again, you build a relationship. Just because they bought the main offer, that doesn't mean you don't continue building the relationships because you will have other things to sell in the future. Maybe you have a mastermind, maybe you have the next level already, even if it's not appropriate for them to buy it now. You want to continue building that relationship because, again, just tying it back to the first chapters when I talked about the customer value journey, it's all about the customer relationships. They have a relationship with your business, with your products, with your offer, with you if you're the expert or the brand face. And you want to keep building that relationship so that every time you put people through a funnel, this is just the beginning of your relationship. Ideally, you're making a lot of money and a lot of profits with this one, but thinking ahead, what else will you be offering them? So now I don't continue here the drawings, but in real life, in business, this is just the beginning. Somebody who went through, let's say, a challenge funnel and bought everything you had to offer, that's not the end of the road for them, right? They will need other help later down the road. You'll have other products, you'll have other things that you can help them with, and so on and so forth. So you keep building that relationship. That's it. These are the 5 funnels, specific ones. Again, just think through the structure, think through what you can add to your funnels, how you can combine them and put them together, even if it's not specifically explained here. Think of them as Lego blocks, which you can adapt to your business. You will get the maps to all of them. So you'll be able to just zoom in like this. You can print them out or just zoom in and go through and see what exactly to put where. And that's it for this video.